All right, Parashat Vayera. Fantastic parasha. Fantastic. It's mamash fantastic parasha. However, I want to bring something to you, maybe from this week's parasha, and there is a concept in halakha that we say, as much as there is a mitzvah to say, sometimes there's a mitzvah not to say. Of course, we are not talking about people who like to give tochecha and rebuking everybody, not because they really care or they want the people to change, just because they want to alienate and to feel better. We're not talking about this. We're talking about a person who is really interested in doing a mitzvah. Where's Avichai, by the way? I haven't seen him.
If his nephew is not coming, it's difficult for him to get out.
Okay, got it. So the beginning of Parashat Vayera, Moshe Rabbeinu is sent to bring the Besorah. He brings the message to Am Yisrael with the message of redemption, and it says to him, Lechen אמור לבני ישראל, אני השם והוצאתי אתכם מתחת סבלות מצרים והצלתי אתכם מעבודתם וגאלתי אתכם בזרוע נטויה ובשפטים גדולים ולקחתי אתכם לי לעם והייתם לכם לאלוקים וידעתם כי אני השם אלוקיכם המוציא אתכם מתחת סבלות מצרים. יאללה, יופי, חזק וברוך, nice to see you guys, shalom, right? In other words, he's going to go tell Bnei Israel, it's a whole nice speech that I'm God, the God, and I'm going to take you from the hardship of Egypt, and I'm going to take you with great miracles and with the fireworks and this whole entire thing. And then you would know that I'm God, and you'll be my people, and I'll be your God, right? And then he says, והבאתי אתכם אל הארץ אשר נשאתי את ידי לתת אותה לאברהם, ליצחק וליעקב, ונתתי אותה לכם מורשה, אני השם. And I will bring you to the land which I was so generous and kind. I mean, first of all, it's not really so much like of God speaking. I mean, he seems like like a little too excited. He's not, I wouldn't say godly, but I mean, you can really see his excitement to, I'll take you and I'll do and I'll bring you and relax, man. But you see how much HaKadosh Baruch Hu really wants to help us. But then I will take you to the land, and I will, which I give to you, promise to your forefathers. V'netati ota lachem morasha, and I will give it to you as an inheritance. Why? Because ani God, because I am God. I'll tell this to all those nice Christians, and that from they say that I don't want to stop with this Palestinian. Those like it's a Muslim, and I'm sick and tired of this whole thing. Shtuyot. Bekitzu, the land is ours, nothing to talk about. Okay, yalla. You have problems, go to God. That's basically what it is. However, Bnei Israel cannot get that message. They can't get the message that Hashem gives them. And וידבר משה כן לבני ישראל, Moshe spoke to בני ישראל, ולא שמעו אל משה מקוצר רוח אומר ועבודה קשה. They couldn't hear him because קוצר רוח, they were, I guess, impatient, and עבודה קשה and hard labor. Right? Pay attention to that. After that, Hashem commands Moshe again to Moshe Aaron to go back to Bnei Israel and tell him the same thing about redemption, and also to tell Paro, let my people go. Right? And it says, וידבר השם אל משה ואל אהרון, ויצבם אל בני ישראל ואל פרעה מלך מצרים, להוציא את בני ישראל מארץ מצרים. יופי. Thank you very much. Why do you have to tell me this again? We already, Moshe and Aaron, we already went to Bnei Israel. We said, hey guys, back up. We're going to be going. It's going to be like a big 4th of July here, big shebang. We're going to go out. I said, listen, Moshe, תעשה לי טובה, עזוב אותי עכשיו, אין לי עצבים. I'm not up to this. יאללה, תלך, אין לי זמן. They already told them go. We already told them we can't hear what you're saying. That leave us alone. So why HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not telling Moshe and Aaron? Isn't this like a trap he's giving them? What's going on here? Why does he have to tell them this again? We just heard that they would not listen to him. Why you have to tell me again? And not only that, now you have to tell Paro as well. Right? I mean, how many times we read this, we never pay attention to it. So, there is Rav Rav Meir Simcha Midvinsk. Rav Meir Simcha Midvinsk. In his Sefer, Meshech Chochmah. Very good, Rebbe. Meshech Chochmah is really meyashev this kushiyah by being very specific, making a very beautiful diuk in the psukim. And he says the following, and I'm quoting, Ki derech sheyom asher yachpetzu lishmoa rak kedei latzet misaratam. People who are in hardship don't want to hear anything. They just want to hear, listen, I need to get out of this situation that I'm at. And you see it many times. People are in trouble. You tell them, you give them advice, and you give them a pretty good advice, and they don't want to hear you. He said, listen, what's the matter with you? Tishma mani omer lecha. They can't, he says, they can't. That's the derech of kshayom. People who things are tough for them. They're not going to listen to you. Velo lishmoa be'aftachot atidiyot hu behatzlachot niflaot. They don't want to hear about what promises you the future holds, and all kind of like wonderful things are going to happen in the future. They don't want to hear that. V'lachen, and therefore, vayedaber Hashem, etc., etc., etc. And because of that, vayetzavam al bnei Yisrael ve'el paro leotzi bnei Yisrael me'eretz Mitzrayim. In other words, just to speak about this. So according to Rav Meir Simcha, the slavery, the harsh slavery in which Bnei Israel were in Mitzrayim caused them that they could not hear the message of redemption, the full message of what redemption is all about. In other words, if you see on the second part, he took out the whole thing, moftot or niflaot, all these things. He took out the whole thing about Eretz Israel. Just say, I'm going to take you out. Okay, this is a very, very wonderful diuk. And the reason is, of course, is because they were so deep in slavery. They just leave me alone. Now, the only thing on which they wanted to is to be alleviated from the hardship, from the dire straits in which they were experiencing at that moment. They didn't want anything else, and because of that, they weren't able to hear anything more. So listen, I'm in trouble now. I have problems now. You're going to talk to me about this. You're going to talk to me about that. Let's say, for example, you are driving on a highway, Route 67. All of a sudden, I don't know, some route, right? All of a sudden, you have a flat. By the way, where's the children, guys? Why aren't you guys eating? All of a sudden, you have a flat tire. Now, it just turned up to be that it's a miserable day out. There's traffic jam all over. It's sleeting, like frozen rain, and you have to change your tire. And somebody pulls over and says, oh, listen, don't worry about it. Akol letova, akol beseder. Don't worry about it. Kol akeva letova. Meaning your hands are all frozen. You can't even pump the jack. Forget about opening the tire. By the way, anybody knows how to change tires? Not you. Them. You ever change a tire in your life? Right? So, anybody knows how to change brakes? Not you, I told you, not you. Anyway, so the guys come and tell you, listen, how wonderful things are, and don't worry, the spring is around the corner, you're going to be one thing, taseli tova, lech mipo, get out of here. I don't want to hear you now, I'm freezing cold, my hands are frozen, and you're going to tell me how wonderful the spring is. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear you. That's exactly what happened. That's what the Torah tells us. So according to the words of Rav Meir Simcha, from this parasha we have a tremendous message in terms of conduct or chinuch or conduct between a man and between a man and his friend and so on and so forth, and especially for chinuch. Sometimes a mechanech, an educator, or a leader needs to adjust the message that he's giving to the public, to the people, even if that adoption to the message will be somewhat of a watered down version of the essence of the message. They cannot hear you. And that concept you can find in Masechet Yevamot in Daf Samechei Amud Bet. It says, Keshem mitzvah al adam lamar davar hanishma. As much as it is an obligation for you to hear something, davar hanishma, something that will be heard, kach mitzvah al adam shelo lomar davar sheino nishma. Therefore, it's in the same mitzvah to not to say things that you know they're not going to listen. Or should it, so it's a very big thing. For example, we says, never give tochacha to a person while he's angry at you. So never, because then you're like lifnei iver. It's like you're pouring oil into the fire, and it's going to make it worse. In other words, you need to always know what is going to be heard and what is not going to be heard. And on the other hand, you have to realize, what is this the time to say things, or it's the time not to say things. And especially, let's say, for example, you have a spouse and you like two normal people, you have an argument. So all of a sudden you're going to bring up all this stuff that's going to make things worse. And even if you have something that bothers you, say to them, okay, fine, I heard you, fine, goodbye. And then when the time comes, say what you have to say. Don't have to say everything on the moment. At that moment, nobody hears you. So you have to know where to say things. When you have the ear, just whisper in the ears, listen, dude, this was very bad. But appreciate if you don't do it again. But once you are angry, there's no such thing. Well, you remember what you did to me last time? You remember what I said to you, what you said to me? And it's like, it's pointless at that point. It's pointless. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you, even to fight, you have to know how. I mean, of course you do. But, so it's a mitzvah. As much as a chiyuv tochecha to say, it's a mitzvah to know what not to say and when to say it. It's a very big musar to all of us. However, we can also have a different explanation that will give us some kind of a light between the first commandment that Hashem told Moshe to go, and then the second one, and that comes from the grandson of the Baal Shem Tov, Rav Moshe Chaim Ephraim Mislidkov, also known as the Degel Machne Ephraim. But they have to pick up such difficult names, I don't know. Anyway, in Parashat Vayera, in Dibur HaMatchil Vayidaber, he says the following, according, ולפי עניות דעתי, according to my insignificant opinion, נראה לומר, פירוש, ולא שמעו אל משה מקוצר רוח. They didn't pay attention to Moshe מקוצר רוח. קוצר רוח, most of us will say, being impatient. קצר רוח is impatient. And he says, though, רוח לשון רוחניות, spirituality, they weren't spiritual. They were immersed in materialism. So therefore, when a person is immersed in materialism, he can't think about a better thing. He's just thinking about the now to make more, and more. Right? In other words, and he says the following: Hainu shaya katan ve'katzar koach hamusak shelaim. Their ability to contemplate and to think in the future was on a short fuse. They couldn't do it. They just didn't have the tools. ולא יכלו לקבל דיבור השם יתברך. That's why they couldn't accept, they couldn't comprehend what Hashem. And that's why he says to him, ויצבם אל בני ישראל. היינו, לשון חיבור בצוותא חדה. He puts it together. In other words, you should be able to connect your ruchniyut to the ruchniyut of Bnei Israel. In other words, Moshe and Aaron need to contribute from their ruchniyut to Bnei Israel. Then they can accept the words of Hashem Yitbarach. Again, this is a fantastic lesson for leaders of congregation. If you see your people are not doing what's supposed to be doing. In other words, you have a congregation of 500 people. 300 people. And you get 30 people for Minyan Shacharit. One should ask himself, where is everybody else? They're not davening Shacharit? And then you get about 5.25 people for Mincha Ma'ariv. Where's everybody else? They're not davening. So, and you tell them, that's not good enough. They're not going to hear what you're saying to them. So therefore, you as a leader should really bestow upon them, connect your, hopefully you have one as a leader, your spirituality to them, and give from yourself to the people so they could hear what you have to say, so they could connect themselves and actually do something. By the way, that's why places like the Kabbalah Center and so on and so forth are very popular, very, sometimes, I can tell you this, bring people closer than all these kiruv organizations that we have, locally here. Why? Because to connect the people to Ruchniut. Yes, eventually you need to get out of there. That would confuse you. In the long run, they completely confused you. But the reason why they are successful is because of that. Or Lehavdil Breslev. No. Lehavdil from the Kabbalah Center. Right? So Breslev, they have Ruchniut. They talk to them about this thing. They bring them closer. They give them something. They elevate them spiritually. Then they can do whatever you want. They will be capable of that. So if you see the people not responding, guys, the fish stinks from its head. The leaders are not doing that. Like either they're not spiritual or they don't know. So if they don't know, teach the leaders so they can teach the people. If they're not spiritual, so what they're doing there? But they're running a 500 fortune company. Running a shul. So that's kotzer ruach. That's kotzer ruach. Now, and according to the Degel Machane Ephraim, Bnei Israel did not receive the first time the order of the Geulah because of the spiritual situation. That was very, very low. Kotzer ruach means ruchniut ktsara. Very short. They weren't spiritual. That's also why people who are from or go to yeshiva leave yeshiva, leave from Kai, because they don't have ruchniut with them. And so if at one point, let's say the learning of Kabbalah and such esoterical studies was kept for a chosen few, if that will get people over, you as a leader should be able to sometimes alter it and bring it to the people to use that as a chip for them to be able to connect. They would like to connect. You're not providing them with them. So you have to do it. You have to see what's the cause of the disconnect. Kotzer ruach, lack of spirituality. And unfortunately, we're not spiritual. We're kind of going back into a stage of like pre-Hasidus stage where we are very not spiritual. Very not spiritual. And to those who are mistaken by smoking a dope or smoking whatever it is, that's what will get you spiritual. They're not going to get you spiritual. They're going to get you to nowhere. Get you to the toilet, not for spirituality. Isaac, ¿cómo estás, querido? ¿Cómo está la vida? Muy bien. ¿Cómo está el trabajo? Mucho trabajo? Poco dinero. Alright, so that's the kotzer ruach, is lack of spirituality. They couldn't listen to it. They were, and why? Because they were in the pits of Mitzrayim. And we spoke about Mitzrayim being ervat haaretz. It was all about gashmiut, all about ta'avot, all about the desire of the flesh and all kind of like crazy things, bathing in oil and all kind of like lunacies. So they couldn't. And the same thing to us today. We're not so far from that. So that's the Degel Machane Ephraim. So this is kind of very different. In a way, it's different than what there's let's say a machloket or difference between the Degel Machane Ephraim and what we learned before from Rav Meir Simcha. One says because of the hard work. One said they were just they weren't too spiritual, right? So according to Rav Meir Simcha again, you have to give an abbreviated version of your message to the people because they can't hear because they're not capable of hearing you. The other one also said they're not capable, but it's, in other words, the solution for that, with Degel Machane Ephraim, the solution is to really push the people, elevate the people so they can actually hear what you have to say to them. According both the Degel Machane Ephraim, you have to say that again, there's no chiluk between him and of Meir Simcha regarding saying davar hanishma or davar she'eino nishma that you're not allowed to say. However, the direction of the mechanech, the teacher, is just opposite than of Meir Simcha. And from Meir Simcha says that you say it adjusted, he says no. He says no, acquire them, give them the tools, and turn things that are not capable of listening to things that are capable of listening. If you take a Baal Tshuva, right, and you tell him certain things, he's not going to listen to you. So you don't tell him the whole thing. And I think that maybe this is the message behind the Shulchan Aruch when he talks about halachot geirim. Halachot geirim, if you look at it very carefully, yes, things have changed. I know that in terms of the people, but in halachot geirim he says, miktzat ikarei adat. If you're going to overwhelm him with everything, it's not going to happen. So I think maybe that's also a pshat in that. You know, תגיד לו מה שהוא יכול לשמוע, אמונה, באל אחד, בשבת, אחר כך, later on, bring him up the whole entire thing. You know, otherwise he will say, listen, אני לא יכול. And we're going to miss an opportunity to bring a person under kanfei Shechina. Now, however, to the big tzaddik, Rabbi Israel Mivizhnitz, he had a different way and approach to turn something from davar she'einu nishma to davar anishma, and he's telling it's a tremendous story. Okay, he's telling a tremendous story. He says Rabbi Israel Mivizhnitz, right, was every night used to go with his gabbai for a walk for half an hour. You know, it's good for your stamina. So one time he came to the house of one gevir, one big macher, and that guy was the manager of a local bank. He was very intellectual and maskil and so on and so forth, and because of that, he wasn't one of the great fans of the rabbi, because for them, usually the rabbis are primitive in eyes of people like that. So when he go over there, he knocks on the door, and when the servant opens the door, Rabbi Israel walks inside. He walks inside, and the gabbai right after him. But now the gabbai is saying, like, what are we doing here? It's very strange that he will come to this guy's house. However, since he walked in, he didn't ask too many questions. So when the balabai, the banker, saw the Rebbe came to his house, he's like very, taken aback. He's like, oh my goodness, the rabbi is here. So he treats him with tremendous kavod. I mean, after all, he was himself a very intellectual man and very, with manners. So he treated him with kavod and so on and so forth. He gave him a chair to sit, and they were sitting there without saying a word for a while. And the owner, the banker, couldn't approach the rabbi directly. He said, why'd you come to my house? So he went to the gabbai. He says to him, why you guys are here? Why'd you come here? So the gabbai says, I don't really know. After a while, the rabbi gets up from his seat. He says, bye to Baal Habayit, we're going to go now, and he's about to go. So because of the kavod that the rabbi, the chashuv of rabbi came, so the Baal Habayit walks with him outside. So he walks with him to his house, to the rabbi's house, and when they got to the house, the gvir, the big macher, is trying to get home. And then he turned to the rabbi with a question. He says, I cannot hold it anymore. He says, let me ask you a question. Mechila, rabbi, on my question. However, it wasn't so appropriate in my house to ask you, when you were in my house, why did you come to visit me? But now that I'm here, I want to know, why did you come to visit me? Because if you ask you in the house, it will be really inappropriate. Why do you come visit me, right? But now we're here. Why did you come to visit me? So the rabbi said to him, he says, I went to your house in order to do a mitzvah. And Baruch Hashem, I was fulfilling this mitzvah. So the gvir said to him, what mitzvah? So the rabbi says to him, Chazal told us, כשם שמצווה לומר דבר שהנשמע, as much as a mitzvah to say something that would be heard, it's also a mitzvah not to say something that is not going to be heard. So, and so therefore it says, and if so, I'm going to go to, and if I'm going to sit in my house, and His Majesty is going to sit in His house, what mitzvah is going to be when I'm not going to say something that is not being heard. It's not going to be it. I need to go to you and then sit there not to say anything in order to fulfill this mitzvah. So then the mitzvah is going to be appropriately. The mitzvah is going to be kitikuna. So then the Gvir said to him, but please tell me what it is. Maybe I would listen. So tell me what it is. Maybe I would listen. The Rebbe says, no. Guaranteed that you're not going to listen to what I'm telling you. And the more the rabbi says no, the more the curiosity of the Gvir became, increased and so on and so forth to know what's the story. So when he really pushed the rabbi so much to tell him what is the thing that is not going to be heard, so then the rabbi says to him, he said, fine, I'm going to tell you. There is a widow, whatever her name is, and a sultana, there is a widow there, and she is a very, very poor lady. And she owes money to the bank in which you are the manager, a tremendous amount of money. And that's the mortgage for her house. Soon, real estate people, soon the bank is going to repossess her house, and the widow is going to be thrown out to the street. So I wanted to ask His Honor, please, that he should be mochel her chov, in other words, forgive her debt. But I didn't tell you my request because I knew of the mitzvah of not to say what need to be said. So the Gvir said to him, but it's impossible. How can you do such a thing? Because the debt, she doesn't owe it to me. She owes it to the bank. I cannot take the liberty to say that I'm not the owner of the bank. I just run the bank. I can't do that. So, and he said to him, it's like at the time, it's like few hundred, let's say, dollars at the time or whatever. I don't have this money for that. So it says, you see, I was right. You would not listen to what I had to say, regardless of what I asked you. I was right. And the Rebbe stopped the conversation. They went to his house, and the Gvir went to his house as well. But what he said to the Rabbi said to the Gvir, he entered his heart, and didn't let go of it until he put his hand into his pocket, basically, and he paid himself her debt altogether. And then the almanah, the widow, stayed home. So you need to know how to say it. So it's a tremendous story. We have some time. You have some time, guys? You have some time. So that is I think a tremendous lesson. I have a lot more to go. But there's a very big lesson that we have to learn. Almost reminds me of the story that we have when the guy who's, let's say, running an internship, he's a lawyer running an internship by a law firm, and he says, I was able to close a file that was open, or whatever it was open for 20 years. I was actually finally able to close this deal. That turned out to be that the owner of the firm was also his father. So his father said to him, he says, if you're a little smarter, right? He gave him a little bit of an advice. You could have continued make a parnasa from this case for the next 20 years. In other words, don't be so eager to close your cheshbonot and so on and so forth in terms of that. And therefore, because the besorah of the Geulah, that redemption, or the message about the redemption that was given by Kadosh Baruch Hu to Moshe Rabbeinu, it was given to him in 4 different lashonot shel Geulah that we all know, right? Otzeti, ve'etzalti, ve'ga'alti, ve'lakachti. And together with that, there is also what we call the Haftacha Elokit, ve'heveti etchem el haaretz asher nasati et yadi latet ota leAvraham, Yitzchak, ve'Yaakov. Until this point, Eretz Israel was muftach to the zera of the Avot HaKadoshim. It was a הבטחה. Now הגיע זמן הפירעון. Now it's time to redeem that it says, ונתתי אותה לכם מורשה, אני השם. So you have to understand one thing. Matana is one thing, v'yerusha is something else completely different. Matana, natati, is one thing. Morasha is something else, completely different. And the pasuk says both of them. It says both venatati and morasha also. So that question, the Admor Mislonim in Tivot Shalom, right? You had the book over there by you. It says a tremendous hevdel, difference between the two. It says Yerusha, the Tivot Shalom says Yerusha, is every biological son inherits his father. Even if he is not normal. He is entitled of that. And even if the kid is, how do you call him? A retard. Completely IQ 15, like some of the people who are sitting in the House of Representatives or in City Hall. Automatically, he inherits. However, matana, a gift, is not given to all. Matana only is given by the father to somebody, to the son that he really loves. Matana you only give to somebody you love or somebody you appreciate. Gifts you don't give to anybody. If you give gifts to everybody, you're a fool. So the Netivot Shalom says, which is really, it's a beautiful thing. But the Netivot Shalom says, and it says further, it says, Yavo Adam v'yomar, call me defective, call me retard, call me beloved one. Give me in a gift or you give it to me, it doesn't make a difference. I said, did I get a chelek in haaretz? Yes or no? Did I get it or didn't get it? In other words, the stigma in which you put on me, the label in which you label me, is not really my concern. I don't really care how you call me. As long as at the end, the karka is birshuti. Is it my reshut? Call me whatever you want, I don't care, just give me. And should I say it? Let's say, for example, I'll give you a story. There's a guy of a group of researchers that went to the jungle, somewhere in the Amazon jungle, and they were lost. And as they're about to give up hope, all of a sudden they see a bunch of natives over there, whatever you call them, and they're coming in. And they're actually very nice. They help him out. They help him, And comes the guy and says to him, you know what? You helped me out. I'm going to leave you a gift here. I'm going to give you my Jeep. So he gives him the Jeep. So the guy says, wow, that's terrific. What is this thing? He says, oh, let me show you. He puts it down, he drives, he beeps the horn, bah! Makes noise, everybody runs away. The windshield wipers, they say, oh, this is like a communication thing here, right? It's like a wonderful thing. I could scare my enemies, could take me from one place to another. The windshield wipers say, hello, hello. I can communicate with aliens or whatever it is. Akol tov v'yafeh, right? So after a while, akol tov v'yafeh, they don't use it so much, and then the battery gets bad. And then it stops. And they said, okay, this is like useless. After a few years, the guy which they saved, says, oh, let me visit my friends back in the jungle. Let me say hi to them. He comes over there. Says, oh, guys, how you doing? I called them your friends. Oh, this is not working. He brought with him some supplies. He sees the batteries, brought the battery, fixed the car. The guys are all happy. He says hi, he goes into the Jeep, and he takes away and goes. In other words, from the gift, nothing was left. A gift, he took it back. So you need to understand the difference between a gift and a morasha, something you actually inheriting. Now, when you give somebody a gift, that expensive gift is being observed and taken care of, at all given time. However, you need to use it in order not to lose its ability to actually produce what it needs to do. For example, if you have a car, you don't drive the car for like 2-3 weeks, when I come in, the battery is going to be weak. You have to start the car every now and then, and so on and so forth. So, if we're going to go back and give the story back of the Netivot Shalom that he brings over there, with he says after the jeep went away and the dust settled down, the bottom line is every kid is zakai leYerusha, is entitled to have an inheritance. But Eretz Israel that is giving us only mikoach Yerusha, without the person understanding the ma'alah of it. Oh, we inherited Eretz Israel. Without understanding the greatness and the chashivut of Eretz Israel, is no more than a sophisticated jeep in the hands of some aboriginal in the Amazon. There is no really great usage and appreciation of this great gift, but it's an absolute waste. So Eretz Israel, on its great qualities of it, which is an amazing place. Eretz Israel is an amazing place, is given to only a person who is able to actually produce something from this gift. That's why a person who receives Eretz Israel needs to come in a level of a ben ha'uv, of a beloved son, who is really able to really appreciate the land. In other words, if you understand what Eretz Israel is all about, it's not just a piece of real estate. It's something that we are all connected to in the belly button. That's why Kadosh Baruch Hu spoke to them about Eretz Israel. They couldn't understand it. I want to say something else. Their destiny to walk in the desert was already determined before they came out of Mitzrayim. Because of that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu realized these people are not capable to fully appreciate the gift of Eretz Israel. They only dealt with Eretz Israel as a Yerusha, something we inherit, not as a gift, not something that we need to cherish and to understand its chashivut and its importance. To take Eretz Israel back from its oppressors, to take Eretz Israel back from its invaders to us, back to us, and then give it back, it's a sign of lack of appreciation of what this land is all about. And we need to understand that. And that not only to Eretz Israel, Rabotai. That's why a Baal Tshuva can reach a higher level than a person who was born into a frum family. It should not really make a difference to you if the grandparents are frum or the grandparents are not frum. If the parents are this, you have to look at the person. Why? Because to a person who was born into the religious world, for him it's just a way of life, Yerusha. But for a person that became a Baal Tshuva, the way of life of the religious Jew is a gift. It's a torch that he's carrying, not just a way of life. It's a torch that lights his life, and he lights his path, and he appreciates this. And when we say Hizaru bebnei aniyim shemehem teitzeh Torah, in other words, I want to tell you, we always talk about poor people, but I would say, based on what we learned so far, we're not necessarily talking about people who are poor monetarily. Hizaru bebnei aniyim. Be careful with the children of parents that were not so spiritual, because the Torah will come for them. Why? Because they would appreciate the Torah. They would not take it for granted. And this is also true for everything else that you have. Whether it's your car or your jeans, or lehavdil, elef alfei avdalot, your wife or your children. Is not your kids, your family, is not something that you deserve. It's something that you received beyond your zchut. And you have to therefore appreciate it. And needless to say, how much you have to appreciate and really change your direction towards limud HaTorah, learning Torah. It's a matana. That's why the Torah was given to us as a gift. Al ze ne'emar, what do we say? Lekach tov yarashti lachem, lekach tov natati lachem. Torati al ta'azovu. Natati lachem. I gave you the Torah. You need to cherish it. You need to really understand the bottom of it. Now, how are you going to deal with this? Whether it's going to be an inheritance or a gift, depends on how much spirituality there is in you. And that is absolutely your choice. And when a man is not choosing, he loses his essence of a man. Shabbat Shalom.